Chair lays out whether Senator Huffman, you're recognized to suspend the regular order of business, a motion on Senate Bill 40. Sorry, I garbled that for you.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. President. This time I move to suspend the regular order of business on Senate Bill 40. Members, recently there have been reports that local governments have spent public funds to pay nonprofits whose posted goal is paying a defendant's bail bond. If true, this practice raises serious public safety concerns as it allows defendants to be released from jail using the same source of taxpayer dollars that were used to arrest and process the offender. Senate Bill 40 is very simple. It just seeks to address the concerns of the public and victims' rights groups by prohibiting the use of public funds by a political subdivision to pay a nonprofit organization that accepts and uses donation from the public to deposit money with a court in the amount of a defendant's bail bond. The bill also creates a pathway for a taxpayer or resident of the political subdivision to seek injunctive relief to prevent further action by a political subdivision that violates these restrictions. A taxpayer or resident who prevails in an action is entitled to recover from the political subdivision reasonable attorney's fees and costs incurred in bringing the action. Unfortunately, because we continue to lack transparency in our criminal justice system, we don't have a full picture of exactly how charitable bail organizations are dealing with political subdivisions or how potential reimbursements may or may not be occurring. Regardless of whether the reports are accurate or what exactly is going on, I think we can all agree that we want to ensure that taxpayer dollars are not used to undermine law enforcement and public safety, and we want to make sure it never happens in the future. So with that, I move to suspend the regular order of business.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Betancourt, Birdwell, Blanco, Campbell.
29 ayes, 1 nay. The motion is suspended. The rule is suspended. Chair lays out on second reading Senate Bill 40. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 40, relating to the use by a political subdivision of public funds to pay bail bonds.
Senator Johnson, what purpose?
Questions of the bill author?
Do you yield?
Yes, I do.
Hey, Senator Colcourt.
Hey.
Senator Huffman.
Yeah.
Not here. Did nothing. I came straight from eating a cracker.
You can come answer questions with me.
Do we, subsequent to the hearing, do we have some indication from Harris County as to the true nature of the funds that were transferred from the county to the bail project?
The only thing I can say about Harris County is that since this came up in the hearing last week, they have changed their website to change the title of where all these payments were showing up. So it was under vendor payments. Now they're calling it something else. I couldn't say exactly what. You want more details?
Well, I understand that they've made a very clear statement that the funds that were transferred were in fact just refunds. Do you have any reason to doubt that?
I don't know, and I'll tell you why I say that. The bail project, which was the recipient of the amount that was transferred out of Harris County money to the bail project, right, says that they no longer do bail in Texas. I don't know when they stopped doing that. I'll also tell you that there were $2.1 million transferred, 361 payments in odd amounts, like $19,950. I've never seen a bail that was $19,950 or $14,450. So, and then there were, as I said, 361 of them. Now, interestingly, the law requires that when a charitable bail organization posts a bond, that the sheriff be notified, and the sheriff's supposed to report that to the Office of Court Administration, and they list that. The Office of Court Administration has no record at all, the bail project or the sheriff of Harris County never told OCA that this was going on, so there's no record. So there's no way to track if there was a bail with a defendant's name and to the amount paid. So there may be a way to document all this because there's such a lack of transparency in Harris County and such a lack of trust that I don't know the answer to your question. So my statement is just I don't know if it was happening. I don't know what was happening. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just saying I want to make darn sure that it never happens.
And that's why I'm going to vote
Fair enough?
I'm going to vote for your bill, Senator Huffman.
Thank you.
But we also have a statement from the Bail Project itself that said explicitly these were refunds because they don't, like a bail bondsman, they don't post 10%. They post the entire amount of the bail.
Yes.
And they claim that no taxpayer dollars were used or transferred to them in association with bail. They did testify that, right?
I didn't hear him testify to that, but it may not have been in the room. You might ask the chairman. I'm sure he was there. I don't know.
Suffice to say at this point that you can't be certain. We do have representations from the county and from the Bail Project that these were all refunds, that no taxpayer dollars were used outside of this little conflagration that dates back to a Twitter post in August of 2024 and some subsequent ones in February. I'm not aware of anyone who's aware of any county ever doing what people were accusing them of doing on Twitter. And it sounds like you don't know it either. You just can't be sure because their website is so opaque.
It's not just their website, it's their whole accounting system. And I will say that I did not pass this legislation because of a Twitter post, so to make that perfectly clear for the record. Victims advocates came to me and begged for help. I mean, they're begging for help. I think there were all the committee members who were there heard them begging for help. So I did this to represent victims, all right, the victims of crime in the state of Texas whose rights have been violated. You know, there's a federal right, as you know, the Federal Crime Victims Compensation Act.
Right.
Well, yeah, and they are not being treated right in this state, okay? And they came to me, they had a concern.
What was the
so I'm trying to
mistreatment they
fix it.
received at the hands of Harris County?
You don't even want me to get started on that.
Well,
I'm going to have another bill tomorrow, and I will debate you on this bill tomorrow because I will have 163 cases of people murdered.
Senator Huffman, we're talking about this bill. We're talking about this bill.
Senator Johnson, do not talk over her. You can respond after she completes her.
Sorry, Senator Huffman.
Well, you're accusing me of doing legislation because of Twitter or something that I made up or somebody made up. There's no transparency in Harris County. The victims groups were concerned how this money was being sent. If you looked on the auditor's website, there's no accountability for which defendant it was being reimbursed for, how much was actually paid. The bail, there's no record in the Office of Court Administration, although there is supposed to be under state law. And the Bail Project says, well, we haven't done any, we don't even do business in Texas anymore. So with all those factors, it was of concern to many people, including myself, including the members of the committee who all voted, who were the ones who were present, who all voted for this bill, who heard the testimony, heard everybody's testimony, and reached the conclusion that this was thoughtful legislation that was needed moving forward.
It sounds like it's certainly a worthy inquiry because people are uncertain, and that victims of crimes want to know that their county is not using taxpayer dollars to bail out the people who've been accused of causing these crimes. That's a worthy inquiry. Is it, and this is what I question, is it a worthy bill to pass a law before we really understand what happened, as opposed to pursuing directly with Harris County their system of keeping records? And my concern here, Senator Huffman, is that if we move too quickly sometimes, we may be pursuing an illusory demon and not really taking care of the other problem. I support the effort, I support the bill to never let a county do this. They already can't do this under the law. I believe under Article 3, Section 52 of the Constitution, they can't pass out money to people for any purpose, let alone post bond for people. So I just wanted to be clear that, and you've made it clear, you're not accusing...
This is the Harris County that was going to give out just payments to people for the heck of it. If Sarah Betancourt can probably back me up on the facts behind that.
No,
so nothing would surprise me. Let me just say that publicly.
It wouldn't surprise you if they were using taxpayer dollars to post bail for the very people that their judges required bail for?
It would not surprise me.
Well, certainly after today, it'll be illegal.
Correct.
But I wanted to be clear, we're not accusing, and no one voting for this bill is accusing Harris County of anything, and the evidence that I've seen suggests, and it should be clear, and people should know, that this looks like it was refunds, not something else.
Major statement, sir.
That was it.
I got it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Huffman.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Alvarado, for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. President. To ask the author some
Do
questions.
you yield?
Of course.
Thank you. Senator Huffman, you and I had some discussion on what define public funds, and I was hoping we could have had some language added to the bill. And I'm not sure what the bill will look like when it comes back. Maybe on the other side they'll address it. But just for clarity, I wanted to ask a few questions.
Okay.
Senate Bill 40 speaks to public funds. Do you consider bail payments held in county accounts while a defendant is subject to bail conditions public funds?
It depends on which account it's in. Is it accruing interest? What is the amount being reimbursed? Exactly the amount that was posted. Is the money going back to the whoever or whatever entity posted the bond? The problem with this, Senator Alvarado, as you and I have discussed, in my opinion, is transparency. Maybe there's a way to do this. That's transparency to separate the funds so it's in a separate account and there's an accountability to the public that it's, A goes in, A goes out for, defendant, this specific defendant, but there is not that in the system. So I can't really answer your question because of the way that Harris County, and I believe Travis County is doing this too. But I don't know what kind of records they keep because I've not seen like their auditor's office printout or anything. Okay. I'm just looking at what the victims groups were looking at from the Harris County auditor's office, and it was very difficult to define where the money was coming from.
Does your bill change the status quo regarding a county's ability to reimburse bail payments after a cause is resolved and the court orders the refund of a bail?
Again, it would determine on if it was clear that it was not coming from public funds.
Okay. Would Senate Bill 40's enforcement mechanism allow someone to sue the county for refunding a defendant's posted bail to the nonprofit that originally paid the bill? I think we talked a little bit about this earlier.
And the bill provides for injunctive relief, but it would have to be shown that public funds were used for making the bail. So it would just depend on what the evidence was shown at the time of the injunctive relief. It does allow for attorney's fees for the citizen seeking injunctive relief. On the other hand, I assume if a frivolous lawsuit was brought, that there's, penalties for bringing frivolous lawsuits. But, maybe a lawsuit would force Harris County to clarify exactly how the money is being used, who it's coming from, and make them start posting with OCA a bond that, this could all have been solved if there would have been specific records with OCA as to a defendant, the amount of bond and the date, and then you could go back to the auditors and match all that up. But that's not what they do.
All right. Thanks for answering the questions.
Senator Betancourt, what purpose?
Ask the bill author a question.
Do you yield?
Yes.
Senator Huffman, this is a very good bill because we don't want this happening anywhere in the state, right?
Correct. Yes.
Right. Now, and when you commingle these type of accounts and you've got accounts and they're swept with interest, money can be diverted. And without the lack of with a clear lack of transparency, you have to set a higher bar for these type of issues and have a specific reporting requirement, right?
Correct.
Right. And because at the end of the day, I think that the principle of not having public money being used for bail, I think should be accepted by I would hope 99% of the public,
I think so.
as well as this body.
Correct.
Right. So, unfortunately, the largest county in the state has a repetitive issue with a lack of transparency and clear reporting, especially out of the auditor's office when it comes to these type of transactions in the courts, right?
Correct.
Right. So I look forward to passing the bill and getting the information that we need for the victims' families to understand that this is not a practice that is condoned anywhere in the state. And if we need to do any further follow-up work, we will. Because as the local government committee chair, it's transparency, transparency, transparency.
Thank you. Chairman.
Senator Flores, what purpose?
Ask a question.
Do you yield?
Yes.
Well, Senator, thank you for this bill and thank you for this discussion on the floor. As something that's important, I heard the testimony in committee and we need to address it. So would you agree that there's sometimes that, we take action reactively to address a problem? Would you say that's a...
Yes, I think we do.
But would you also agree that this is the time on this bill, specifically on this bill dealing with bail, that we are directing clearly, proactively, that to not use public funds to pay bail? Is that, we're telling them to say, oh, this, Senator Johnson's point about, I hear him. But what we're saying is we are proactively taking a stance that don't do this. Is that basically what this bill does, very simply put?
Yes, sir. That's exactly it. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Huffman moves to suspend the regular order of business. Secretary will call the roll. No, sorry. Sorry, we're passage to engrossment.
I move passage to engrossment on Senate Bill 40.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Betancourt, Bardwell, Blanco, Campbell, Cook, Creighton, Eckhart.
27 ayes, 3 nays. The bill passes to engrossment. Senator Huffman, you're recognized to suspend the constitutional 3-day rule.
So moved, Mr. President.
Secretary will call the roll when ready.
Alvarado, Betancourt, Bardwell, Blanco, Campbell.
29 ayes, 1 nay. The constitutional 3-day rule is suspended. The chair now lays out on Senate Bill 40 on third reading and final passage. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 40, relating the use by a political subdivision of public funds to pay bail bonds.
You're recognized on final.
I move final passage of SB 40.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Betancourt, Bardwell, Blanco, Campbell.
27 ayes, 3 nays. The bill is finally passed. Once again, great bipartisan support for the safety of Texans. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, members.
The chair announces the signing of the following in the presence of the Senate.
Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 16.
The president's desk is clear. Are there any announcements from anyone? Going once, going twice? The chair recognizes the Dean of the Senate for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate recess until 10 a.m. Thursday, February 20th.
Is there objection? The chair hears none. The Senate stands in recess until 10 a.m. Thursday, February 20th. Thank you, members.